Shaquille O'Neal notices a young boy playing basketball with no shoes. The boy's energy and determination are inspiring, but Shaq can't help but feel concerned about his bare, blistered feet. What Shaq does next surprises everyone and changes the boy's life forever. It was a bright, sunny afternoon at a lively park filled with the sounds of children laughing and playing. The basketball court, though worn and cracked, was full of energy as kids played fiercely, chasing the ball with unbridled excitement. The air buzzed with joy, but amidst it all, one figure stood out, a tall man known to the world as Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq, dressed simply in a plain t-shirt and shorts, was enjoying a quiet stroll. He had come to the park to clear his mind, a rare moment away from the spotlight. His towering presence naturally drew glances, but he walked humbly, observing the life around him with a soft smile. As his gaze swept the court, something caught his attention. A young boy, no older than 12, was dribbling the ball with fierce determination. Despite his small size, the boy moved with the heart of a champion, darting past players and sinking shots with surprising precision. But there was something unusual about him: he was barefoot. Shaq's eyes lingered on the boy's feet. They were covered in dirt, with small cuts and scrapes visible even from a distance. Yet, the boy played as if nothing else mattered. The worn basketball court was his world, and the game was his escape. Shaq felt a pang of emotion. The boy's passion and resilience reminded him of his own younger days when the odds had been stacked against him. Standing there, Shaq couldn't help but feel drawn to the boy's story, knowing there was more behind his determined face and bare feet. It was a moment that would soon change both their lives in ways no one could have imagined. Shaquille O'Neal stood at the edge of the court, his towering frame casting a long shadow over the cracked pavement. His eyes were fixed on the boy, barefoot and determined, darting around with the ball. Shaq was deeply moved by what he saw. The boy's energy and love for the game were undeniable, but his scraped and dusty feet told a story of struggle. For a moment, Shaq just watched, his heart heavy but full of admiration. Finally, he couldn't stand back any longer. Stepping onto the court, Shaq's presence immediately drew attention. The game paused, and the boy looked up, his wide eyes filled with surprise. Kneeling down to the boy's level, Shaq spoke in his signature deep, gentle voice, "You've got some serious talent, kid. But you can't keep playing like this, you'll hurt yourself." The boy glanced at his bare feet, then back at Shaq, unsure how to respond. Without another word, Shaq removed his own sneakers, the size alone drawing gasps from the small crowd that had gathered. He held them out to the boy with a warm smile. "Here," Shaq said. "You'll play better with these." The boy's hands trembled as he took the shoes, his face a mixture of awe and disbelief. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Tears shimmered in his eyes as he slipped his small feet into the enormous sneakers. They were far too big, but to the boy, they were the most precious gift he had ever received. The court was silent, everyone watching this simple yet powerful moment. Shaq placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Keep playing, kid," he said softly. "You've got what it takes." The boy nodded, his heart swelling with gratitude, the weight of kindness leaving an indelible mark on his young soul. Shaquille O'Neal sat beside the boy on a worn wooden bench just off the court. The boy clutched the oversized sneakers in his lap as if they were the most valuable thing he'd ever owned. After a few moments of silence, Shaq gently asked, "What's your name, kid?" "Marcus," the boy replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Shaq nodded. "You've got some serious skills, Marcus. Where'd you learn to play like that?" Marcus hesitated before answering. "I practice here every day. It helps me forget everything else." His words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken pain. Encouraged by Shaq's calm demeanor, Marcus opened up. He explained how his family had fallen on hard times. His dad had lost his job, and his mom was working 2 shifts just to keep the lights on. Basketball, he said, was his only escape. When I'm out there, it's like nothing else matters. Just the ball, the hoop, and me. It's the only thing I'm good at. Shaq listened intently, his large frame leaning forward, giving Marcus his full attention. He recognized something in the boy, determination forged by hardship, a dream fueled by resilience. Marcus's story reminded him of his own childhood, growing up with limited resources but an unstoppable drive to succeed. You know, Shaq began, his deep voice carrying a mix of warmth and reflection, I wasn't always Shaq. I grew up in a tough neighborhood. My family didn't have much, but there were people along the way who believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. Marcus looked up at Shaq, his young eyes filled with curiosity and hope. What did you do? He asked. I worked hard, Shaq said simply. And I never forgot the people who helped me. Coaches, teachers, even strangers, they all played a part. That's why I'm here today. Because I know what it's like to need a break. Shaq placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. You've got talent, kid. But talent isn't enough. You've got to believe in yourself, and you've got to let others believe in you too. Marcus nodded slowly, digesting Shaq's words. I want to make my family proud, he said. I want to make it to the NBA one day. Shaq smiled, his expression both kind and serious. You can do that, Marcus. But it starts here. It starts with small steps. And you've already taken the first one, showing up, even when things are tough. The conversation shifted, and for the first time, Marcus began to smile. They talked about basketball, favorite players, and Shaq's own journey to the NBA. The more they talked, the more Marcus's walls came down, and the connection between them grew stronger. As the sun dipped lower, Shaq stood up, towering over the boy but speaking to him like an equal. Here's the deal, Marcus. I'll stay in touch. I'll make sure you have what you need to keep playing. But you've got to promise me one thing. What's that? Marcus asked, his voice steady but full of anticipation. You keep working. You keep dreaming. And you never stop believing in yourself, Shaq said firmly. Marcus nodded, his young face lighting up with determination. I promise. Shaq reached out, and Marcus shook his hand, a handshake that carried more than just a promise. It carried hope, belief, and the beginning of a bond that would change both of their lives. As Shaq walked away, he turned back and called out, Keep practicing, Marcus. You've got a bright future ahead. Marcus watched Shaq leave, clutching the sneakers tightly. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel invisible. Someone had noticed him, believed in him, and given him a reason to keep pushing forward. That moment, on that simple bench, became the turning point he never expected but desperately needed. As Shaquille O'Neal walked away from the park, a warm glow of satisfaction settled over him. Little did he know, the small act of kindness he'd shown to Marcus was about to ignite something far greater. A passerby, moved by the sincerity of the moment, had discreetly recorded the entire interaction on their phone. The video captured everything: Marcus's bare feet on the cracked asphalt, Shaq's towering figure kneeling to give the boy his sneakers, and the heartfelt conversation that followed on the bench. By the time the video hit social media, it spread like wildfire. The caption read, Shaquille O'Neal gives his shoes to a barefoot boy, watch until the end for the most heartwarming moment of the year. Within hours, the clip had garnered millions of views, with comments pouring in from every corner of the globe. This is what humanity looks like, one comment read. Shaq is a legend on and off the court, another person wrote. This boy's determination and Shaq's kindness brought tears to my eyes, shared one viewer, echoing the sentiment of countless others. The video didn't just tug at heartstrings, it inspired action. People began reaching out, asking how they could help Marcus and his family. A community-wide effort quickly took shape, starting with locals who recognized the park and offered to donate shoes, clothes, and basketball gear. Soon, larger organizations joined the movement. A prominent sports equipment company pledged to sponsor Marcus's basketball journey, ensuring he'd have everything he needed to pursue his dreams. Donations flowed in from all over, some small, like a pair of gently used sneakers from a fellow basketball fan, and others monumental, like a local business owner offering to pay for Marcus's school tuition. The support extended beyond material help. A group of basketball coaches volunteered to train Marcus for free, while a mentorship program reached out to guide him both on and off the court. The outpouring of generosity didn't stop with Marcus. Inspired by his story, communities began organizing donation drives to help other kids in need. Shoes, sports equipment, and even school supplies were collected and distributed to underprivileged families. What began as a single act of kindness had snowballed into a movement. Meanwhile, Marcus and his family were overwhelmed by the support. For years, they had struggled quietly, their challenges unnoticed by the world. But now, people who had never met them were stepping up to ensure they had a better future. Marcus's mom, who had juggled multiple jobs just to keep a roof over their heads, found herself moved to tears by the kindness of strangers. "I don't even have the words to thank everyone," she said in an emotional interview. "It feels like we're finally being seen." Shaq, too, was humbled by the response. When asked about the viral video, he downplayed his role, saying, "It wasn't about me, it was about Marcus. That kid's got heart, and he just needed a little push. I'm glad I could be there for him, but this is a testament to what happens when people come together." As the story continued to make headlines, Marcus's life transformed. The boy who once played barefoot on a cracked court now had a future filled with opportunities. But perhaps the most significant change was the confidence he gained. Knowing that so many people believed in him, Marcus practiced harder than ever. He made the local basketball team, his talent shining brighter with every game. One day, as Marcus laced up a brand new pair of sneakers, he looked at his mom and said, "I want to make everyone who helped us proud." His words weren't just a promise, they were a reflection of the impact Shaq's act of kindness had made on him. The ripple effect of that moment in the park wasn't just about material donations or viral videos. It was a reminder of the power of empathy and the potential to create change, one small act at a time. For Shaq, Marcus, and the countless others inspired by their story, it was proof that kindness truly is contagious. As Shaquille O'Neal sat in his quiet home later that evening, the memory of Marcus lingered in his mind. He thought about the boy's determination, his fearless spirit, and the overwhelming gratitude in his eyes. It was a small gesture, handing over a pair of sneakers, but the impact it had on Marcus's life was far-reaching. Shaq smiled to himself, realizing that sometimes the simplest acts of kindness can make the biggest difference. "People always see me as a basketball player, someone larger than life," Shaq later reflected in an interview. But at the end of the day, it's not about fame or fortune. It's about being human. That boy reminded me of my own struggles growing up, and I couldn't walk away knowing I had the chance to help. For Marcus, the encounter marked the beginning of a new chapter. With newfound confidence and support from the community, his life began to transform. The boy who once played barefoot on a worn-out court was now a symbol of hope. Encouraged by Shaq's belief in him, Marcus practiced with more determination than ever, channeling his love for basketball into a dream he now dared to believe in. One of the most touching moments came a few weeks later when Marcus made the school basketball team. His classmates, who once overlooked him, now cheered for him. "I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Mr. Shaq," Marcus said during an interview after his first game. "He made me believe in myself." The story didn't end there. Inspired by Marcus and Shaq, others began stepping up in their communities. Donation drives for underprivileged kids gained momentum, with countless people contributing shoes, clothing, and sports equipment. Schools and local organizations partnered to ensure children like Marcus had the resources they needed to thrive. Shaq remained in touch with Marcus, checking in regularly and even surprising him at one of his games. "You're doing great, kid," he said, giving Marcus a proud pat on the shoulder. "Keep going, you've got what it takes." Marcus, beaming with pride, promised to work hard, not just for himself but for everyone who believed in him. Reflecting on the experience, Shaq shared a powerful message: it's not about how much you have. It's about how much you're willing to give. Sometimes, the smallest gesture can change someone's life, and inspire millions to do the same. The story of Shaq and Marcus serves as a reminder that kindness is universal. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, one simple act can create a ripple effect of hope and positivity. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Let's spread more stories of kindness and change the world, one act at a time. Subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales. Together, we can make a difference.